Now let's get some reaction to what Sir Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak said today. And for that, I'm joined by the Conservative MP for Scarborough and Whitby, Sir Robert Goodwill. Welcome to the show, Sir Robert. Always a pleasure. So strong words from Sir Keir Starmer. Rishi Sunak is squatting in number 10.
Well, strong words maybe, but no strong policies. I'm still no wiser what they would actually do in policy. I mean, their big sort of policy was, 28 billion of green investment. They're now saying, well, we might not be able to do that in our first term, which probably not at all. So, I think, Labour need to actually spell out what they would do and not just try and say, well, we're not the Tories, that's a good reason to vote for us. And as we heard earlier in the report, the economy is on an upward trajectory. And I would say that Rishi isn't dithering, he's actually delivering. And, people get the tax cut at the end of this month. We've got the budget coming up, which hopefully will be some more tax cuts there. And, you can now, I'm told, get a fixed rate mortgage at 4%. So because we've got on top of inflation, interest rates are coming down, and that looks like a sustainable position. So I think the economy is improving, and I think that's what worries Starmer. That's why he wants an election so soon, because he knows things are starting to get better.
Well, Sir Robert, perhaps another flip-flop from Sir Keir when he said he might have to row back on his £28 billion a year green plans, but maybe the Tories should take a leaf out of that book and scrap those sort of plans anyway. We saw when Rishi Sunak extended the life of petrol and diesel vehicles, you guys enjoyed a 4% boom. Maybe you guys should also be ditching some of the net zero stuff to keep a few quid in voters' pockets.
Well, I think it's important that we do, aim towards 2050 in terms of our climate change objectives. And, we're already seeing people, buying electric cars. We're seeing a lot of wind generation out there in the North Sea. And, that's private investment coming in rather than government investment. And of course, when Keir Starmer talks about sort of decarbonising power, he's actually only talking about electricity. There's an awful lot of power. The average house has 7 times as much power coming through the gas main as through the electric wire. And of course, we've still got, a lot of heavy transport, aviation, a lot of work to do there. So I think it's all about sort of delivering investment through the private sector rather than the government thinking it can do everything. And Keir Starmer's actually said today, well, yeah, we'd like to spend 28 billion, but we don't think we'll be able to. Well, that's not much of a promise, is it, for people to base their votes at the general election on?
And Sir Robert, Keir Starmer hinting via a clever question from Chris Hope that the voting age might go down to 16 under a Labour government. What do you think that would do to Britain?
I think if all 16-year-olds had just won £200,000, they'd probably understand about paying tax a bit more. I think, Labour understand that younger people maybe just don't understand the facts of life quite as much. I thought 18's about right. And it's interesting, Labour, when they're in power, legislated to prevent young people having tattoos, prevent them buying certain things like, crackers in and sort of fireworks and things. So, it's strange that Labour are saying, we should give them the right to vote. But actually, when they're in power, they took a lot of rights away from 16-year-olds, wouldn't allow them to have the ability to make their own decisions. So I think 18's quite right. And certainly when I go to schools and we ask that question, we usually have a debate on this. And opinions quite split between the kids at school as to whether they think the vote should be at 16 or 18. But certainly, as I said, if they're all paying tax on £200,000 of winning, they'd certainly vote Conservative.
And Sir Robert, Keir Starmer was quick to praise Luke Littler, but the other Luke, cool hand Luke Humphries, lest we forget the guy who won the tournament last night, is set to visit Rishi Sunak at number 10 to celebrate. Do you think this will help you to score a bullseye with working class voters?
It might help, but I mean, we've had this before. Do you remember when Tony Blair came into power? It was all about, having all these celebs and, into number 10, Cool Britannia. I don't think it really actually washes with the electorate. It's great to sort of mix with some of these celebs and some of these successful sportsmen, but actually it's policies that make the difference, and it's personalities as well. Because let's not forget, at the last election, nobody knew we were going to have a pandemic. Nobody knew we were going to have the invasion of Ukraine, and it's the way that, particularly as Chancellor, how Rishi reacted to that, how we helped people both to get through the pandemic with the furlough scheme and other assistance, and actually following the invasion of Ukraine, how we had help with people's energy bills. So it isn't just about politics, it's about the character. And I think that Rishi's shown he's a brilliant Prime Minister, and I think Labour's a little bit frightened that there's about 20% of voters out there who haven't made up their minds yet. Most of them voted for us last time. I think the jury's still out, and giving the people a little bit more time to ponder on this between now and the autumn. I think Starmer is looking a little bit worried, a little bit nervous, in my view.
Okay, superb stuff. Sir Robert Goodwill, thank you for joining us on the show. Great stuff. Certainly they're all on the hockey.